Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back.
Good Tuesday morning, and once and lastly, Happy New Year, everybody. Today's the cutoff. Is there anything you need to say? Happy New Year to all. Go ahead to get it out of your systems now. Okay, good. We're all on the same page. Chandler's in Mexico. What does it matter? Stadium Insider, Charania, Chandler P from down south. Lou Will with the fancy setup. I like that. Looks very profesh. I did not have this on my bingo card in a weekend full of sports and fun, Shams, but we had a big old trade over the weekend. The Knicks making moves. They get OG Anunoby, Precious Achiuwa, Malachi Flynn. They ship out RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and a 2024 second-round pick. I remember my phone buzzing. I was like, ooh, things are happening, Shams. Why did this go down the way it did?
For the Knicks, in a lot of ways, it's consolidating the roster. You trade with RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley. You move out 35 points in your lineup, but you're getting OG Anunoby back. Great defender, better all-around defender than the other two players that you traded away. He averages 15 points a game, but you're hoping in this type of a role, he's starting. He's really going to be the third, fourth option on many nights for this Knicks team. He's going to be able to potentially have a bigger role in this offense. And really, off the bench, how will this impact players? Quentin Grimes is someone that's fallen out of the rotation. Some of this was also to get him back into the rotation, get him more minutes. And the Knicks have gone after OG Anunoby for the last year or so. Last year, around the trade deadline, they offered the Raptors a package around guys like Evan Fournier and first-round picks. This year, they get him, only give up one second-round pick, but you give up two better players in RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley. For the Raptors, those two guys are going to be able to come in immediately and start Emmanuel Quickley. This is someone with tremendous upside. We have not seen the best of Emmanuel Quickley yet in the NBA. Now he's going to go to Toronto. He's going to be the starting point guard. RJ Barrett gets a new change of scenery. He gets to play back home. And so for the Raptors, they view this as a fresh opportunity and really a new infusion for this team. They've been kind of going down this path of trying to figure out, are we going to keep going around Pascal Siakam, Scotty Barnes, OG Anunoby, and the first process starts with OG Anunoby getting traded. They have decisions to make still, though, with Pascal Siakam, but both of those guys entering free agency, this was the time over the next month or so where they're going to have to decide on their futures. They made one decision over the weekend.
I felt like finally one of the Toronto pieces has fallen because we've talked about this all the time. Chandler, I'll start with you. Do you like the deal for the Knicks?
I do. I like it for the Knicks because I think OG is the best player in this trade. And like Sham said, I think it's kind of a lateral move, right? I think this frees up some players on the Knicks that now are going to get more opportunity, like a Quentin Grimes, like a Josh Hart, like a DiVincenzo. They just extended McBride to give him a little deal, so I looked for him to get in the rotation. But yeah, I don't think this puts them over the top. I don't think this makes them a contender. I think it makes them better defensively. OG can clamp the best wing or smaller post-up player on the opposing teams. So I think he gets a little bit more there. It ran its course with the RJ Barrett, Randall. It just ran its course. I think just having a fresh start, RJ getting to go home, OG coming to New York, pairing with Jalen Brunson, who's a great player that's going to make the game easier for him. I do like it from that point. I like that they kept all their first-round picks. So I also like Precious Achiuwa. I think he's going to come in and get some minutes and kind of expand his role. I don't know much about Malachi Flynn. I know he can shoot it, but I do like it from the Knicks. But does it move the needle? No, but I think it had to happen.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happened with this Knicks team, and like both of you guys just mentioned, it gives them a better balance. You know, OG is a guy that's going to come in. He's going to be able to guard other teams' best players. He's also going to be able to play off of the ball, and so that allows Jalen Brunson and that allows Julius Randle to be naturally scorers themselves and not worry about a third guy wanting the ball. You know, OG is going to score the ball. He's going to make wide open shots. He's going to cut back door, can play off of the block a little bit. So this gives this team a great balance. But I also like it, you know, for the Toronto Raptors as well. For a team that wants to play faster, that needs more of a scoring punch. You know, they got two guys that can put the ball in the hole. So this gives Emmanuel Quickley an opportunity to shine, to come out of that six-man role and be a starting lead guard for a team. So this is going to be interesting on both sides. I don't know if this gets the Knicks over the hump, but it definitely gives them an opportunity to play at a better clip than they have been.
And we'll get back to Shams on that as well. But he had 17 yesterday. It was his big debut. I'm sure having your first game in the Garden, big game, Minnesota Timberwolves, fouled out on a really stupid call. But Brunson had a bad shooting day as well, and they won. So I know it's just one in a sample size, Chandler. But as far as him fitting in specifically with Randall, with Brunson, do you like that?
I do, and I think it is a good fit. Like we just said, he's a versatile player, right? He's not going to go and get you 35, 40. That's not his game. He's valuable in other aspects of the game. He's a Swiss Army knife. He can do it all. He can defend. He's not really a knockdown shooter, but he can shoot it better than RJ Barrett. I think he'll space the floor a little bit more. You see these clips. He's good down the transition. He's efficient of the rim. I do like it from that standpoint. And again, this is the first game. Take it with a grain of salt. But I like what he brings. And like I said, sometimes just to change the scenery, a fresh start, I think Chicago is going to be in such a much better place once they just get off Levine, once they move. It becomes a distraction and annoying for fans, for guys on the teams, for the staff. You don't know who's going to be in, who's going to be out. So I just felt like this is a great move for Toronto and the Knicks just to get it over with.
Getting it over with. Oh, that's lovely, Lou. Chomps, let me ask you this.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, that's it. Everything has been said. We've only seen a sample size so far. It's only been one game, but it looks like it's a good move for both sides.
All right, Shams, they kept their first round draft picks. Can we go ahead and expect something else coming down?
The Knicks have all the flexibility. They've maintained all their assets. They still have 8 first-round picks, Michelle, to trade. Up to 8 first-round picks. They still have contracts that are trade eligible. Guys like Evan Fournier, that's an expiring contract that you can put into a deal. He's making significant money. That gets you in a position to make a trade for a really valuable player around the league. I expect them to prioritize playmaking. They're always going to have interest in Karl Anthony Towns, but nothing has materialized as of yet. They have the pieces. They have the contracts. They have the young players. Guys like Quentin Grimes that you can potentially throw into a trade. I'm curious about Quentin Grimes' future. Out of everyone on that Knicks bench, we know Josh Hart, he's locked in. Dante DiVincenzo, he signed in free agency. He's locked in as part of their future. But Quentin Grimes, a young player that they've really held off on trading over the Donovan Mitchell talks a couple summers ago. They valued him, but he's fallen out of the rotation. Does he get back in the rotation with this trade? Does he still stay out? Do they try to move him? What happens with his future? That's going to be something curious to me. But overall, in the grand scheme of this trade, like Chandler said, I think it's tough to say that the Knicks for sure won. But anytime you have Julius Randle and you have Jalen Brunson, those are your 1-2 options on any given night. It's tough to also have RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley, who are clearly scorers first. They value, and they're a lot more beneficial for Toronto right now in this stage.
Good. Let's talk Toronto for a second, because you more than anyone here know how many times we've talked about the Raptors, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby. Are they getting traded? Is this the time? And finally, we have one. So let me ask you this. You mentioned it earlier in the show, the fact that the price for OG Anunoby last season was much higher, and they were willing to drop it now. Were you surprised by that, A? And is it telling in the sense that maybe they are willing now to hear deals that maybe weren't exactly what they wanted to hear last season? Meaning, where's Siakam going? Go.
I mean, on OG Anunoby, the tricky part with first-round picks is it can get rumored like the Grizzlies or the Knicks or whoever could offer 3 first-round picks for a player. But if those first-round picks are in the 20s, a team might be more apt to just go with an offer like this one, where you're getting 2 players who can start for you immediately, score 35 to 40 points. They like RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley on this roster are good for potentially 40 points a night for you. Or as OG Anunoby was giving you 15 points a night. Clearly, something needed to change there. That dynamic wasn't going well. He was going into free agency. Pascal Siakam is an interesting place because he has not made progress on an extension with the Raptors, from what I'm told. There hasn't been significant conversations on an extension. He's eligible for an extension, 4 years, up to $191 million. And the fact that he's an expiring contract who has not yet extended, I mean, Chandler and Lou both played long enough to know what that means. If you're not extended going into the final year of your deal, the Raptors have to keep all their options open. That means listening to offers on Pascal Siakam, but he's been there. They have a high value on him. It'll be interesting to see what will the price tag be on Siakam if his appetite is not there to commit on a long-term deal anywhere else. I think when I talk to team executives around the league, there's no doubt he could be the next domino potentially over the next month and a half. They're building everything around Scottie Barnes in Toronto. He's their guy. He's their max player moving forward.
He's the untouchable. All right, so we're going to keep track a little bit. RJ Barrett had 19, quickly had 14 against the Cavs. You're looking at them right there. They're 13 and 20, which is only good enough for 12th in the East right now. Chandler, you want to start telling me how these guys fit in Toronto?
Yeah, like Lou mentioned earlier, obviously quickly in the starting lineup, this is a whole nother role for him. This is a talented scorer that's been thriving in the 6-man role that I think obviously has more than enough talent and potential to become a bona fide starting point guard, off guard in the NBA. So I love him here. RJ Barrett, him going home, that's huge. There's a certain amount of pressure and expectations when you do something like this. But also there's this breath of fresh air and there's this excitement where, he's from Toronto. That's a great opportunity for him. And when you look at this roster, I think obviously Siakam, I think he's clearly next, right? And then once they get that over their head, Scotty Barnes is their guy, but I love Boucher. I love Gary Trent. They have these young pieces now that they could really continue to add here and there and become a real threat in the Eastern Conference. So I like the trade for them. RJ Barrett as the third pick from the draft, I think people expected him to kind of blow up a little bit more than this. He's got to continue to work on his outside shooting. I don't think he was the best fit in New York next to Julius Randle, but I think he'll really thrive here. And for the Knicks, I can argue that they're going to miss quickly more than Barrett because he was that spark plug off the bench. He's that bucket getter. So I do like both of these guys here. And like I said, I think it's a pretty lateral move. I think OG is the best player in this trade. So if I had to give an advantage, I'd say the Knicks won the trade. But I think it could end up like a Sacramento-Indiana trade where this works out for both.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like a rebuild to me. Obviously Siakam may move, but they're still going to keep some really good young pieces on this basketball team, and they're showing you that they're changing their identity. They're just going to go out and try to outscore basketball teams. They're going to try to play fast, play up and down type of basketball game and try to outscore teams to win games.
The second biggest story of the weekend, and perhaps the biggest winner of this trade, was the Detroit Pistons. Timing is everything, ladies and gentlemen, because they got the Raptors on the tail end of that, 129-127. They finally break the streak at 28. My goodness, Cade Cunningham with 30-12, 0 turnovers. Cade Cunningham's leadership, his play, his skill level, his future. We've talked so much about that. Yeah, I know. Are you crying? Did somebody here call it? I feel like one of you guys said Toronto. Did I make that up? Somebody called it.
I think I did.
Okay,
But I don't know.
Well, yeah, both of you did. That makes sense. Chandler, his leadership. I mean, look, it couldn't have been easy. 28 losses in a row is unfathomable, and yet he kept showing up. He kept saying the right things. What can you say about Cade Cunningham?
Well, it's hard to say anything is impressive about this historical run, right? This is hard to do. And it's fun. I'm here in Cabo with James Dunleavy, Cade's agent, and you don't believe the stress even he's going through watching these games, just hoping to get off the schneid. Because if there's one bright spot on this team, it's Cade Cunningham. It's the way he's played. You see his numbers there: 30-12, 0 turnovers. He's this big body point guard that just makes everyone around him better. He can get to the hoop, get to his mid-range. He is a stud. And when I watched this game against Toronto, they didn't look that bad. Like when I'm watching them play, I know Duran's been in and out of the lineup. Isaiah Stewart's out of the lineup. They have solid vets. I love Bogdanovich. I love Alec Burks. There's just certain pieces on this team that don't really fit. Some of these young guys, some of the guys they went with in the draft, I don't think are very good. And this team, Cade Cunningham especially, he needs shooting. He needs Buddy Hields. He needs Malik Monks. He needs these scorers that can hit a bucket and help him out. Killian Hayes doesn't really do it for them. You know what I mean? So they need certain players to fit this mold, which they don't have. But it's crazy to say. I don't think they're in the worst shape. I'd rather have their current roster than Charlotte. I'd rather have their current roster than Washington. So when you look at the youth they have and Cade Cunningham as the star going forward, I see it, but they're a long ways away, and it's hard to say anything was really impressive during this awful stretch. But they play hard. Monty Williams is going to get them to play hard every single night. Hopefully they learn from this and they just started off a new streak last night with another L. But we'll see where it goes from here.
You're the worst.
Yeah, you would rather have this lineup than Charlotte's right now.
That's what I was hearing.
For the future, for sure, and Washington for sure. I think Durant.
I don't see it.
Those guys can be 2 all-stars. I don't see anything on Charlotte besides LaMelo Ball. I love Durant. I love Cade Cunningham.
Brandon Miller.
Yeah, maybe. I personally like these. I like these better than those two.
Wow.
Hey, by the way, like Monty, the point guard that they took from Denver, I like Bogdanovich. I like. They need to add more. It reminds me of not nearly the talent, but the Lakers' first team they threw out there. That didn't even make sense. It didn't even fit. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere for them to drive. There's no spacing. There's no shooting. The team just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on Lou.
Listen, remember, I had this team picked as a playoff team. So I was very confident that bringing Monty Williams in and the talent that they had on this roster, that they would make some strides and become the Detroit Pistons team that they think they can be. Listen, they've won a game, but I'm still not sold. You know, this is still a team that's won 3 games over the season. And like you said, they've already started a new losing streak. And so I'm just not sold on the talent that's on this team. I like Durant. I like Isaiah Stewart. After that, blow this whole thing up. Let's start fresh. And like you mentioned, Chandler, they need some other guys that can put the ball in the hole. If you look at that film after that win, Cade Cunningham looks exhausted. He put everything that he had into trying to go out there and win a basketball team. This is not going to be good for them moving forward, and so they got to get more talent around them.
It's just I've played against some bad, like that Philly team back in the day, the Cleveland team. Those were bad, like rebuilding teams. We're talking about like a Sir Thompson, Jaden Ivey. We're talking about bona fide top 10 picks is all I'm saying for like their future. Maybe they just taken them a little bit longer. But when I watched them against Toronto, it's like to lose 28 in a row, to lose 2 straight months. That's hard to do, especially when, I mean, they play hard. It's really mind-boggling to me that this group could lose that. Not saying that they're great, but 28 in a row is unbelievable.
That's fair. It's a reminder, by the way, for everyone who thinks they could take on an NBA player, that even the worst team with 28 losses has dudes that are just so much better than everyone else. And it's probably why it's confusing, Shams, as we all sit here and watch this. Because as Chandler said, there are top picks on this team. And yet, so now I ask you this. What happens next? As the trade deadline approaches, what are we expecting Detroit to do?
They have some veteran players, like Chandler said. You have Bojan Bogdanović, you have Monte Morris, you have Alec Burks. Those guys will get trade interest. There are teams right now calling the Pistons on those guys. We'll see if they move them. The Pistons have had multiple first-round picks at different points to trade Bojan Bogdanović. They haven't. They've held on to him. They have 50 to 60 million in cap space in free agency. I think that's where their focus is in the summertime, striking on a couple of frontline players. You think about, we talked about it last week, getting a 4. Now that OG Anunoby is off the board, you look at guys like Pascal Siakam, he's still out there. Tobias Harris will be a real target for them. Miles Bridges will be in the mix as well. So they're going to look at free agency as a way to get their team better. They're probably going to have, like, let's be honest, they're probably going to have to pay, overpay a player or two to get players in there because, this is an interesting situation for sure. They started off the year 2-1. They had playoff aspirations in Detroit. I don't think they expected this year to go this way.
Hey, what's crazy? We talk about how bad they are because they lost 20 straight. They're 3 games behind Washington. They just have spaced out their losses. You know what I mean? They just did this 28 row. So it's not like Washington and Charlotte, by the way, is 4 games above them. So as people as they've been, they might not even finish last.
I'm taking it.
They might not even finish last in the Eastern Conference. So again, there's other teams too that are in the holes like this.
You're still alive, Lou. You're still alive. I'm not giving up yet.
They're 10 games out of the play-in, Lou. They're 10 games out of the play-in. It's possible.
No, I'm not rolling. I'm not rolling. I'll take the 7 games over 3 every day. I don't care.
Oh man, that put it into perspective. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, our guest today, Metta World Peace, joins the show. It's going to be good, y'all.
Run it back, run it up, 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 run it back.
That's right. Played in the league 17 years. He's a champ. He's a defensive player of the year. He's Metta World Peace. And Metta, I got to tell you, I love when we have guys on that spend a little time with Lou Will, because he's a very secretive man. He doesn't like to share too much. So if you could just give us a little bit about Lou. What was it like spending time playing with him?
Man, shout out. Good morning, everybody. And playing with Lou, man, it's been great because I was at the end of my career. I was kind of going through an identity crisis because I wanted to still play, honestly. I'm so competitive. But Lou always kept things in perspective, and he was a leader to the young guys. Lou was like a leader to the older guys and a leader to the young guys. I mean, it was a joy. It was like, kind of built a great relationship. Even though we didn't see each other much after, I went back to school, did a bunch of different other things. But, Lou definitely stands out for sure. Hopefully that wasn't too sentimental, Lou.
Yeah, Lou, are you feeling all right?
That was perfect, man. Our times playing together was an experience, man. Between us trying to bring the young guys along, farewell tour, and trying to stay competitive at the same time, it was definitely an eye-opening experience, and we built great relationships out of that. My son calls you Uncle Metta. He spends a lot of time around you and your family. Yeah, so we developed great relationships out of that experience.
For sure, man. I love seeing little six. I be taking care of him. That's my little dude, man. Every time he come over, a lot of energy. He might be a 6-man like you, man. He might be a 6-man of the year.
Yeah. He ain't picked that ball up yet, but I'm giving him some time. So
yeah.
I like that. No pressure. All right, your first stint with the Lakers was with Kobe. You guys won the championship. Can never get enough Kobe stories. What was it like to play with him? Did he make you better? What are your biggest memories?
Man, I love Kobe. R.I.P. Kobe. Kobe is so competitive, honestly. First time I got there, we didn't have much to say. I think he wanted to see. He just told me don't mess it up. He did tell me that. But I've never heard much from Kobe. I mean, I knew the triangle. I learned. I was a math major too, so the concepts made sense. So I caught on to the triangle like right away. And then other than that, my work ethic was probably second to none. Maybe Kobe's was probably up there. So other than that, we just talked about the game. We never really went out, never had lunch, none of that stuff, no dinner. But on that court, we was synced. The second year after that was kind of tough. But Kobe overall, seeing him in the gym at 5:30, we heard these stories, 5:30 a.m., working on that jab step, working on that pivot, all that type of stuff. That's Kobe.
Metta, you spend those 4 years with the Lakers. You win a championship. Then you go on to the Knicks. And then you come back to the Lakers for a couple seasons. What was different when you saw Kobe the second go around? What was different with him those 2 years than compared to the first 4?
He was way more fun. I was towards the end of my career. I had a little knee injury at the end, and then Kobe was just trying to finish out his career. But he was way more fun. The second time he was talking to rookies, laughing a little bit. And, my first stint with the Lakers, that wasn't so. He was just really, really serious all the time. But it was good to see. It was good to see him just kind of let his guard down a little bit, even though he still would compete when he was in the game, as we saw. But I was happy to see that he let his guard down.
Metta, in 2010, you won that championship with the Lakers and hit that huge Game 7 3-ball, assisted by Kobe, actually. What do you remember the most about that shot? How special was that shot?
It was crazy. It just summed up my career. I mean, I got a big ego when it comes to basketball. I think I'm better than what I am, but I needed that bad. I needed that championship to fill my ego, because honestly, I don't know if I would have been able to live with myself without a championship. I got one. It's not enough. And it was kind of surreal that he passed the ball to the right. But, you had to stay ready. I remember that playoffs. I was actually with my therapist. She's from Houston. So I flew her in because, you just got to be ready. Some games you're taking 4 shots. Some games you're taking 2 shots in the playoffs. You're never in rhythm, so you just got to play in a rhythm, though. And playing in a rhythm is going to look bad on the stat sheet because you're playing in a team rhythm, but your shots is not falling. You just got to try to do everything, deny, box out, correct passes, sprint back. You got to try to do all these things that don't show up in the stat sheet that you get no credit for. And then on top of that, squaring up, right? Squaring up when the ball comes, let it go. Some days you're gonna look bad, some days you're gonna look good. And that was just like, probably, just summarize my career, getting defensive player early, being an all-NBA team, an all-star early, and then going through the brawl, and then kind of awards going away, all the stuff, all the recognition going away. Even though I was still getting awards at that time, that championship just like, I just couldn't think. I didn't think the basketball gods would ever give me a championship.
We've talked about you playing with Kobe and winning the championship, but throughout the course of your career, you've played against him almost 30 times. What do you remember about those battles?
I remember about him winning 70% of those battles. I got them calculated in my head. I got the first battle in Chicago. I blocked his shot to go into overtime. It was a great block. It was a crazy block. But other than that, he won the rest of the battles. Playing against Kobe was crazy because he wasn't lightning quick, but he was just so mentally tough. So he will wear on you mentally. So those games, I think maybe once or twice I went out the night before, but for the most part, I was never going out the night before playing against Kobe. I was sleeping and getting my rest because if not, you're talking about a 50-piece.
Yeah, you don't want to be on the other
and
side of that.
That was your matchup.
Yeah, that was my matchup all night.
I love that it's circled, like don't go out the night before that. Okay, Metta, you know what lists do to sports fans and all of us who do this for a living. We love lists. We also love to see who's left off of lists. So you did your top 10 not that long ago, but in the top 5, neither Kobe nor LeBron was on the top 5. Did you get heat for that? And talk to me about who is your top 5?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it does change a lot, but shout out to LeBron. I love LeBron. And Kobe, obviously. I play with Kobe, and I live in Los Angeles. But I think you got a guy like Wilt. MJ's he's number 1. This is start there. But when you got a guy like Wilt only averaged 13 points his first season. So everybody's saying he played against firemen. Well, those firemen kept him to 13 points and then 20 the next season. Wilt put in so much work where 8 seasons later he averaged 50. And Wilt also played against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And Kareem played it. You see what I'm saying? So from that perspective, Wilt blocked a lot of Kareem shots. And we put Kareem as number 1 sometimes. So you can't forget about the dead. Wilt was a dominant force. And then Bill Russell with those 11 championships, even though he wasn't scoring a lot, but he also averaged 22 rebounds along with Wilt. I think that's number 1. You know what I'm saying? So from that perspective, you can't just bypass Bill Russell. And then you have a couple others. I forget who else I had up in there.
Magic.
Oh yeah, people sleep on Magic, and Magic he's older. He's a politician. He don't give himself a lot of credit, But Magic is a sleeper. Magic. You look at Magic's stat line, his awards. He was the man on that team. Without Magic, they don't get over the hump. And those 5 rings is with the Lakers, so you got to give him some credit. And then I don't think people give Shaq enough credit. I got Shaq at 10 somewhere over there. Shaq is arguably top 5, but I think Shaq got bored with the game. Shaq stopped working hard, and that's why people passed him. Because Shaq just, he got bored. It was too easy. The same thing with Michael Jordan. Will Chamberlain, you got to think about what he did. He said, I'm going to set records so nobody could ever pass it. That was when the league first started. So he was already seeing the future. And I think Michael Jordan just got bored, but LeBron is doing what Wilt did. So LeBron, when he retires and it's all said and done, we got to give him his flowers. There's no way he's not number 1. He put in the work. He's a great man off the court. I'm not saying others are not, but I'm saying to be with the same family, that is really difficult, along with being one of the greatest players ever. So I think when LeBron retires, I'm gonna give him the nod.
Metta, is it true that you cracked 2 of MJ's ribs in a game of 1-on-1? How did that happen? What happened? Take us through it.
What?
Man, actually, I didn't release that story. That story was released by my good friend Sam Smith from the Chicago Tribune. I'm not gonna snitch on Michael Jordan, but that story came out. I was 19 or 20 years old, and I was super competitive. People didn't really know what I was bringing when I was 19. So we was in this gym with LeBron was there, a young 15-year-old LeBron, Antoine Walker, Finley, Jordan, and a bunch of other people. And my defense I had a lot of energy. I didn't really get tired, and I was super strong coming in. So Michael was just posting me up, and he had referees and everything. So he was posting me up on the left block. And as I was denying him, Michael put his arms and hold you. When Michael holds you, you can't get around. And one of the issues with Mike is if you let him touch the ball, he's going to score. So in those games were super competitive. So as I was denying, I moved his arm out the way. And then the ref called an offensive foul. And so he actually got called for offensive foul. But then I hit him by mistake with my right elbow went into his ribs. And, and then when I found out I broke his ribs, I was in the bed for like 2 days. I didn't go to practice, to our summer practice. I was sick. I couldn't even get out the bed. My agent called me and said, Metta, you got to go to practice. I said, I broke Michael Jordan's ribs. I think I can't even function right now. And then Mike called me.
Man.
And then Mike called me. Mike was like, hey, man, it's all right. That happens. But I want you to keep coming back to the gym. I was like, sorry, Mike. Oh, that's crazy. Mike hit me up. Then I went back to practice, summer practice.
Oh my God.
Would you say MJ is probably one of the toughest players for you to guard?
Yo, Mike is definitely the toughest. He's not as fast as LeBron, don't jump as high, not as strong. LeBron brings something different. And then Kobe also brings something different, very similar to Mike. But Mike is strong, efficient. It ain't like you're gonna contest his shot. And he gonna be on balance, good space. Definitely the toughest dude I played against, for sure.
Who would you think to be a toughest guard for you right now in today's game?
I look at it a lot. Oh man, I just stopped being competitive maybe 2 years ago, man. I couldn't sleep with myself. I just stopped thinking about the game like that. But I looked at some guys' career as it went on and on, because you can't tell the first day you see a guy the first year, or even their first entrance into being a star. So you got to give it years to see wow, I think I'm not gonna put no names on it. Honestly, I'm not gonna put no names on it.
Fair.
But there's definitely a few guys I feel like I would have for sure shut down, and then there's definitely a few guys I'm like, ooh, maybe I don't have a chance. Like Kobe, don't really have LeBron. You don't really have a shot.
Trying to get
it. You also played with one of my favorite players, Tracy McGrady, and he was so cold. And I feel like people don't talk about him enough as a one-on-one scorer, just a scorer in general. What was it like playing with him? Was he one of the hardest matchups in practice or guarding him? Because, man, I was obsessed with T-Mac growing up.
T-Mac was he was hurt when I got to Houston, but that first training camp was incredible because the pieces we had was incredible. People forget about Dikembe Mutombo. Dikembe would average 10 and 10 when he got into the game. Right? Dikembe was playing incredibly before he broke his knee in the playoffs. I was playing only 8 minutes a game before T-Mac got hurt. Then I started playing and kind of showed what I could do. But that team was stacked. T-Mac got hurt, I think, 25 games in. So then, but when I was playing with him, to watch him play, and it was pretty impressive. He could pass the ball, he could score the ball. He's such an unselfish player. He's just so gifted offensively. But definitely one of my favorite players. Definitely.
All right, Metta, we got to talk Draymond Green for a second. Obviously suspended indefinitely. The Nurkic hit was the final straw seemingly there. And part of his suspension is he's got to go through some counseling. We all know your past. You've been very outspoken about everything that you've been through and what you've done to sort of better yourself. Do you reach out to a guy like Draymond? Would you give him advice? Are you comfortable doing that? I mean,
definitely, I think Draymond's an elite winner. And I think I want that to be highlighted. You don't want the, this part to be highlighted. I definitely always reach out. Anytime I see a guy getting into trouble, I don't always get a response. I used to, but I'm always there for any player going through anything. That's for the open line for any player. Even though I do have my own agencies, but I'm not trying to steal any players. But I just want to see players do well. I want to see players do well. I think Draymond's going through a little bit, right? Because you're not as good as you used to be. You're not young. You're not as young as you used to be. You're not as good as you used to be. But you're still competitive, and it got to be a little give and take. So I think he needs to take off that competitiveness a little bit, and just have some fun, ride it out. I was super competitive my last year, but actually my last it's the season before my last year, but then I started to talk more to rookies. Growing up in the 90s and stuff like that, you just don't have friends. You don't have friends on the court. And I think like if Draymond doesn't take his foot off the gas a little bit, I think those friendships he could make, and those people he could help. There's young players out there right now that's probably like another young Draymond, right? But Draymond's so competitive, he don't see it like that. He just see food, So from that perspective, I just hope he takes his foot off the gas a little bit. His legacy is cemented already. There's nothing else for him to prove. He's a winner. He's gonna be in the Hall of Fame, right? So there's nothing else for him to prove but to go out there, have fun, and hopefully, he can take that into consideration.
Metta is one of the best perimeter defenders ever. Who do you think is the best defender in the game today?
Right now, I like that kid Max from Philly because he's doing it on both ends. He's super unique. Obviously, before Kawhi's injury, I like Kawhi. Obviously, Rudy's just walking away with a bunch of Defensive Player of the Years. I got a little sour taste in my mouth when I see so many people walk away with multiple because I shot myself in the foot. I should have had 2 or 3 of them, but I'm just getting suspended, all this other nonsense. But Rudy's like walking away with it. But in terms of just like, on the ball, guarding, I got to go with that kid, Max, because he's doing it on both ends. That's pretty hard.
Are we talking about Maxey?
Yeah.
Tyrese Maxey?
Yeah,
All right. I like that.
He's pretty. Yeah, he can score and can lock up. That's pretty
high praise.
Yeah.
All right, that's very high praise. I like the praise part of things because you talked a little Victor Wembanyama. Obviously, I'm a huge Spurs fan, and that was a big moment for all of us. And you said he could average 40 at some point. You still seeing that, or what is it that you see in him? I mean, just take away the size. We all see that. But what else?
Yeah. He's the closest to Wilt that we'll ever see. You got to remember, Wilt averaged 13 points his first year. And 20 plus rebounds. But I think this kid gonna beef up. He gonna get better, and he gonna run into like a Detroit Pistons from this year, or the Clippers from 20 years ago, and he gonna go get 101 at some point in time in the next 7 years. He gonna get 101. He's gonna for sure catch a rhythm where some rookie that can't guard, don't know how to deny, can't backdoor, making a ton of mistakes, and boom, 101 piece, averaging 40. I think you're gonna see it from this kid.
All right, there's a banner race for that. I don't want to hear any argument. If you get 101, you get a banner.
Absolutely. Yeah, it should be. I think he's gonna be, even though Chet having a better year, but he's on a way better team.
Yeah.
So I think this kid's gonna be special, especially when he beef up. Remember Giannis? Skinny. I didn't even know Giannis was this rookie year. I didn't know this kid was. He's just some string bean running out there. Now he's like a force. I think this one. I think Wembanyama's gonna be like that.
Metta, you also gave really high praise to Jalen Brunson, saying he could be a top 7, I think, Knicks player of all time. What have you seen from him just to kind of to justify that and to see so much in him?
Well, he's young. He's putting up numbers at a fast pace. And then also, I think in the Garden, it's hard to play in the Garden, as we know. The rim shrinks in the Garden. For him, it seems like it's wide open. Like, he's super confident, not worried about the fans, not worried about the fair weather Knicks fans. We are all bandwagon fans in New York, all of us. This kid seems very comfortable in the Lions Den. So you got to imagine he's going to do this for a couple more years. And I got to imagine that other free agents see this and they're like, okay, I want to come play with him because the leader looks very comfortable. Obviously, Julius Randle's really playing well in the Garden also. It's not easy to play well in the Garden, and for somebody to play well, he's playing, what point guard played better than him? How many point guards? Not many, maybe Mark at some point in time. So I think this kid is they'll for sure be in the playoffs. Championship, we'll see. But they'll for sure be in the playoffs. They'll get past the first round at some point. They might make the Western Conference Finals. And at that point, it's all about, the players you have on the team. The coaching is pretty solid. So I think he's going to walk away with, at the end of his career, if he stays a Knick, and just keep working hard, stay in shape, don't get out of shape, stay in shape, and just finish your career strong. You can see him being a top Knick, all-time Knick.
Knicks fans everywhere are very happy. Metta, before we let you go, you were on The Masked Singer, a show that just perplexes me, honestly. You were the cuddle monster. How does that come about? I didn't know. You could sing? How's that even happen? I cannot sing.
Yeah, Lou told me how to sing. You know, Lou got bars. It was fun. I try to stay off TV, honestly. But, you know, I'm always getting called to do TV. And then I told my wife, I don't feel like doing this one. And then my friends, they said, dude, it's going to be fun. Then my daughter was like, you got to do it. It's going to be fun. I said, all right, cool. Yeah, I'll do it. And then when I got there, I had way more fun. I mean, I do like to have fun. I do like to entertain. But nowadays, I'm just not interested in anything television. But that show was fun. It's the only time you get a chance to sing like you're in the shower. With you know how that go. You're in the shower, you start singing, you think you Luther Vandross.
Yeah, we all sound good.
Everybody sound good in the shower. They put a little auto-tune on my voice. I was like, all right, we good.
God, that's awesome. Yeah, that would be a fun one. I'd like to see everyone do it. Metta, I know you just said you don't want to do TV, but we appreciate you doing it this morning.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Hopefully you'll come on again. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Lou. My dude.
My brother.
Chandler, good to see you, Shams. Good to see you. Yeah, and y'all have a great season.
All right, thank you, sir. We'll be back with That Man How's the Family after this.
Run it up, run it back, 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 run it up.
Oh man, some of these are hard to watch. Okay.
Oh no.
There you go, Chandler. Charlotte highlight for you.
He had no chance to block it. He's literally under the basket trying to block Anthony Davis here.
Yeah, I'm surprised you even bothered.
Yeah, no bueno.
Coming in hot, Anthony Davis on a tear. Peyton Watson. No comment.
I like this kid's game a lot. I
don't even know what we're supposed to say here, y'all.
Yeah, this just makes sense.
Sometimes I get caught up in just watching the highlights. I forget I gotta talk.
This one's mean. Hurdle doesn't jump high. We all know that.
Why is that, Michelle?
Don't make me say it, Chandler. Also, he just doesn't jump high. He just slightly on a piece of paper.
And they won this game. Come on.
I know. This is a big moment. Oh, man. All right. Obaji. On Tyler. Oh, this is going to be bad.
Oh.
Yeah.
I actually thought Tyler was going to finish that. I guess I should have read the caption.
No, it's better if you don't.
This could have just as easily went the other way because he tried to really throw it on him here.
Yeah, he was about to do something bad here, but that's a good one. All right, that might be my favorite so far. But hold on. We get some Chet here.
He's so long. This kid's
like that one.
So lanky. It's crazy looking.
It's ridiculous.
How?
How about Scoot Henderson saying he's gonna still has a chance to win Rookie of the Year, Lou? You saw that?
Tripping. Yeah, this is Chet.
This man can average
already.
This man can average 20 the rest of the season and will not win Rookie of the Year.
If you didn't watch the game yesterday, Hardenstein had some moments. He had a few of these, by the way, on Rudy Gobert. They were nice.
Oh yeah.
They were nice. Yeah. Fan favorite.
Like it. We like it. Who says the NBA doesn't play defense anymore? Look at these highlights we're watching, y'all.
I love these. I'm starting to like blocks way more than I like dunks. I feel like they're just meaner when done well.
You gotta mix it up sometimes.
Good. Sorry, Rudy. All right, we had a little Suns here. God, look at this. It actually happened. The big three, all there. They defeated the Hornets. They defeated the Magic. We did get KD out last night, though, with a hamstring soreness. But the big three have played 4 games so far, and they are 2-2. Just perfectly average, Lou. So we can't figure anything out from that. But they're 18-15. They're 8th in the West. The big three needs to play how long? How long do we need to see this thing happen before they can make magic? Because right now, it's pretty mediocre looking.
Yeah, they gotta get going. How this team is built. They're built for this team to play at full strength. They don't have a lot of depth. So they need all three of these guys to be on the floor for them to compete at a high level and give themselves an opportunity to come out of the West. You know, going into the All-Star break, it's going to be important for them to start racking up win after win and putting themselves in a better position when it comes to the standings. And so right now, like you said, they're mediocre. They're 2-2 with those guys playing together. I think they get better and better the more they build chemistry and they get everybody on the floor.
You know, it's been such a tease, Chandler. Everyone wants to see the big three, what they're going to do. But, you know, as we sort of speed through this season, it feels like, is it enough? I can't believe I'm even asking this, because before the season started, I was like, I'm putting money on the Suns. But the big three, are they enough when it's all said and done to go all the way to the finals?
Well, I think the best thing for them is it's wide open right now, and it's depending on what matchup they get. If they can find a way to get healthy, and you can't really put a number on it. You want to see them play just as many games as possible. But yeah, if they stay in that 7-8 seed and they happen to get Minnesota or Oklahoma City, that sucks for one of those teams that have this great season. And the Suns have guys in and out of the lineup all year long. And if they happen to be peaking and fully healthy going into the postseason, yeah, I think they have enough. I think they can get a matchup in any round that they could be the favorite. They have that much talent. They have that much depth. They have the star power. They have so many different ways they can hurt you. And they're 2-2 together, but it's hard to get that rhythm when you don't get the reps, when you don't get the time on the court. No practice, no shoot around can, emulate game speed and game reps. So obviously the more they play together, the better off they're going to be. But the way this is trending, this is going to be bad luck for one of these top seeds that have to get a fully loaded Suns in the playoffs in the first round. It's going to be brutal.
Oh, it almost seems
And
unfair.
Chandler, on the flip side, if they don't get going, they're going to run into a top team early on, and that's going to be a challenge for them. If you run into a Denver or you run into a Los Angeles Clippers team in the first round because you didn't get over that hump, that's also going to be a tough road. So for them right now, they got to get in that top 4 and give themselves an opportunity to get home court advantage.
True.
Or they're the Miami Heat of the West, which could happen as well. Somebody's got to be at some point. Taking a quick break. When we come back, it's happening. Prop party. Have we gotten all of them right or none of them right? Who knows? We'll try again after this.
Run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back.
All right, time for a little prop party. Chandler, go.
Oof, we got Celtics tonight, both hot teams.
Yeah.
I like the Celtics to get this one done. I think they're a better team, more experienced team. And I think Porzingis is going to take it on himself to kind of go at Chet. Very similar bodies, very similar games. I think he could punk him a little bit. I like Porzingis going over.
All right, Lou.
I like Celtics on the road as well, and I like Jaylen Brown to have a big night on the road. This is going to be a great test, great basketball game. I'm probably going to watch this one tonight, but I like Celtics, and I like Jaylen Brown going for 25.
All right, OKC, I got you. I think you're going to win this game. That crowd is awesome. They're fun to watch, but I do have Tatum over 26.5, and let's be honest, I'm nailing these. We'll be back tomorrow.
Run it back, run it up, the run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up.